I'm Mr. Rosansky, and this is a speed run of Practice Test 10, the second module, the B module, the easy one. So let's get right to that first conventions question and get started. I check to see if I see any omega conventions. I see the concept of possession as it engages with contractions. A and B are contractions, so I'm going to test those first, plug them in to see if I like the way it sounds. They are findings were, two verbs, no reason to have them, therefore they are both going to fall. I can consider then the next concept. Bounce me over to pronouns. C is plural and D is singular. Both are possessive, so I don't have to consider anything else there. I'm going to go looking for an antecedent. I find this Watson and Crick. It's a group of people. Watson, and Crick's findings were based on. I like the way that works. There, plural, pick it, move on. Next conventions, I see the omega consideration of popping on verbs. I've got a both, I've got a neither, I've got a neither, and I've got a neither. I go looking for the sentence. I see a relative pronoun right here. I know that I need the verb that tells me when so that I can complete this clause. As I look to the macro structure that's going on here, I've got my independent clauses, subject and verb right there. Then, just as I thought, we have the rest of it there. On this next conventions question, I check again for my omega considerations. I've got verbs again, which is fun. I've got a singular, I've got a plural, I've got a neither, and I've got a both. So I go looking to the text and immediately see an and, assuming this is parallel structure. I see my would increase over here. I'm going to pick the create to match that would increase, would create, which is exceptional now. I know on the grandest of scales that this plural is actually a neither since it's attached to a modal verb, but these considerations don't really matter, especially in an explanation of a speed run. I'm on my next conventions questions. I check the omega considerations, and this is popping for a complete sentence mix-up. I've got my lonely little comma. I've got my lonely coordinating conjunction. I've got my beauty right there, and then I've got the space chilling. So I'm going to go looking for complete sentence on either side. I see what pops out at me is this independent clause, subject consumption, decreased being its verb. I do see why it's so late in the sentence is the independent clause, because you have a dependent clause starting the sentence. I've got a complete sentence to the left, and boom, immediately punchy on this right side is my independent clause. Taxes are colon, so that just like adds to my support that I've got these two complete sentences. Can't join them with anything else other than the option I have picked. I'm going to check my omega considerations. Once again, I've got some verbs going on. I've got a both, I've got a both, I've got a singular, and I've got a both. I'm going to consider this to be a shifts in verb tense question. I go looking for some clues. I see a little whereby there. I've got the simple present right there, and I've got the present right there. I've got the fact that I'm in a text. That's what could be weird about this question. That a book was written in the past would make you want to pick something like this. However, the narrative present is the thing. We've got all the support that we're living in it there. I don't care that the book was written. Well, I don't have a clue for that. Doesn't matter. Speedrunning, conventions, omega considerations. Nothing is popping on here. So I can launch into my step 2, which is to chase after that semicolon to see if I have a complex list going on. I seem to think that I do have a list, but it's not a complex list. Therefore, through the lens of equivalence, I can kill the period. On my following consideration, I'm going to think about what I want. I've got the conference's goals were threefold, period. There's a complete sentence to the left. Were threefold. Threefold is not a verb, and the object is not the list. The to ensure, to secure, and to advocate are examples of the threefold. Therefore, colon gets our choice. Out of the conventions, onto the transition questions. Not all conifer species are evergreens. Move this little guy to the front, so I'm just going to move him and imagine him here. Large trees lose their needles every fall. I'm confused because I have no idea how large trees interact with conifer and evergreen as species, so I'm going to go back and try to figure it out. Most conifers are evergreen. Evergreen equals keeping leaves year round. That's what it means to be evergreen. So not all conifer species are evergreen. They lose their every fall. This is an example of what makes them not this. So it's just one of many. Large trees are one of many examples of a not evergreen because they lose their stuff. Not concurrent action, not a secondary support, certainly not contrast. Logical transition. Archaeologists have known since the 1920s when a researcher spotted from a nearby hill, and they've been studying the markings ever since. This feels super sequency. Archaeologists' efforts are aided by drones that capture higher resolution photographs of the lines. There's no contrast. We're not comparing separate things. We're advancing time. Still would be a contrast of concession, not what most people think in this environment of sequence. So this is going to be our right answer. Absolutely. Another transition question. I see him there chilling in the center, so I'll move him to the start. Organisms evolved a number of surprising adaptations to ensure their survival in bad conditions. Shrimpy shrimps can pause development for over 10 years during expansion. So here's a bad condition. We are instantiating that bad condition. This is just one of many examples of the survival in adverse conditions. B gets my pick. Another transition question. I look to the left. Name moves to the United States to attend a university, travels to London, hoping to start a career there. I don't see a secondly. I'll look to the front. I don't have a first word, but I have a chronicles the divergent experience of these people. All right. This person and this, and when I say and there, it's just like at the same time, is that vacuous kind of and. We're not doing this and there's no contrast of concession. Meanwhile, the students, did I select that? Good. I move on to my notes question. Emphasize the effect media had on building his legacy. I want to be able to answer. This is a long one, so I'm going to package this up as like, what was his legacy? What was his legacy, right? What was his legacy? No, it's not. How did media build his legacy? My bad on that quick read. Now, thanks to his depiction in over 100 pieces of media, he was locally known. Thanks to his depiction, he was locally known. Okay, I like that. How did it build his legacy? Thanks to his depiction, he was locally known. I like that. I'm going to keep checking though. Though he was known locally during his lifetime, his later depictions in this turned him into an internationally folk hero. One of these is juicy, right? They both seem to be emphasizing the effect of media. This is saying that media made him successful to his town. This is saying that made him for the world. So I'm going to go looking for that. Little is known about his life. He was born here, and he gained recognition. He gained local recognition for these things. This is a liar. It is not because of his depiction that he became known. He was these things, so he was. So this one's a liar. He achieved many incredible art feats. He had internationally known thanks to. This is gorgeous. Yeah, it kind of steals the language of that one, does A. A's trash. Yeah. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Shout outs to that. Absolutely. Various means of who became. No, this does not give credit to the effective media to making him. Fails just like kind of A does. And this is abilities are depicted. It doesn't show the legacy. Effect that it has on the legacy. Oof, that took a little bit, but we're going to be fine. Lengths of the two rail tunnels. Oh, I can digest that. I don't need to make a note for this. Some of the world's rail tunnels, including one tunnel that this seems to just be focusing on one tunnel, so that's kind of trash. I look here. This tunnel is 33. This tunnel is 31. Let me make sure that these details are true. That is absolutely true. And then what about the 31? True. I love this. I'm going to keep checking. This just focuses on one. That one focused on one. And this one are examples of rail. We're not comparing the lengths. We're comparing where they are, not the lengths, is what that one's doing. And 427. I want to emphasize the duration and purpose of Cohen Rodriguez's work, the duration and purpose of their work, duration and purpose of their work. So how long and why? We're going to look for those two separate claims. At the museum, visitors can learn more about maybe this does purpose, who've lived in this region. I have no idea about the duration of their work, A false. Cohen and company have worked, maybe duration, to preserve the culture. That's certainly the purpose, have worked, who have lived in the United States since. So the people have lived. So maybe this engages with the duration. I know that it does the purpose, but I'm going to table them and move on. Since 2003, I like this as like the engagement of the duration. They have worked to preserve the culture through the museum. This is absolutely what we want. Let's make sure it's true. I see a 2003 right here. I see a 2003 here, but there's no tricks here. 18th century, yes, this is going to be it. This is not giving us a statement on duration, and this is accurate stuff. They want to, what was the purpose? Preserve the culture. We are looking for that statement. She founded this. Yes, she's a preservationist. It's absolutely, 27 is absolutely going to be C. So we select 1, move on. Logically and precise also pops me back 1. It provided the supplies the people in the area needed. They needed something. It's going to be something that's good. Also was a source of information because the rest of them are negative. I pop this. We've got a colon that's going to kick me forward. May seem counterintuitive. None of that does that, but this method, so that's another signal element bouncing us back. We're glued. Repopulate the space with an overall increase. Replenishes is going to align itself with everything that I found there. In this next one, I'm going to be looking for a signal element. Because is going to be my signal element, impact, and environmental impact and loss of material quality. So these are negative things. I think it's going to be, it's often considered inadequate because of these bad things. Good. No, we absolutely want negativity. In this one, I see this is going to be a signal element, this thing. So I'm going to look backwards for my context clue. Land on at the same time. This is at the same time. Synchronization refers to the same time. Overall purpose of the text, let's read it and do some summarizing. For a long time, Maxie Boy wanted his papa to go to a place. Next sentence, he'd be a hero among his friends. He would be a legend. And we'll match those exclamation marks. Just because Papa didn't believe in ghosts, his dad was a downer. Then maybe the summer problem would finally take him. Maybe his dad sucks less. Maybe this one I'm thinking he was almost 12. He big boy, he grown. He's grown. Okay. What's the purpose? To portray how proud Max's father is. No, his father doesn't really trust him. To explain how he doesn't want to grow up. No, he seemed to be proud of the fact that he was 12. Getting older would mean he's more likely to go to this place. To shots fired. No, I don't even know. Is it summer? I wouldn't know where to get that. To show Max, yeah, this kid really wants to go to this place. What's the structure of the text? Okay, fine. Ugh. It's a poem, so I'll just put it in sections that seem to make sense. Night wears a garment. Night wears a garment, all velvet, soft, all violet blue. Night has clothes on. Sure. Then this next section just pops out at me, something until a dash. There's no genuine way to segment these every single time. Just whatever feels like it could make sense. And oh, she fancy. Night a fancy girl. Night a fancy girl. And over her face she draws a veil, as shimmering fine. Oh, night a fancy girl. That's all I got for that. And then we'll just do this last section all at once. And here and there, in the black of her hair, all over she was with the subtle hands of night. The subtle hands of night move slowly with their gem-starred night. All over were stars, I guess. Sure, that's all I've got. I don't know. It presents an alternating. No, it's not alternating. I just have one, and alternating would be back and forth. Certainly not it. An image of nightfall, and then it's not sunrise because gem-starred light. A whole bunch of stars in the sky. Extended comparison. I hope so. I like that. It portrays how night changes one season to the next. I don't like that. What did the narrator and Mario do while riding in the car? What did they do while riding in the car? What did they do? Mario and I played games to see how many license plates we would pass. And Laura looked somewhere here. We were used to the 45-minute drive to El Paso. I'm familiar with the 6-hour ride to Chihuahua. But I wondered what the long. That's what he did. They did not read books. They did not sing songs. They did not go to sleep. They did play games, though, right? They did play games. They did do play a game. According to the text, what did Gloria Richardson lead? What did she lead? Gloria Richardson led a movement to promote racial equality. Her involvement in the effort inspired her daughter. Her daughter joined a committee. Cool, following her daughter. She joined too, but we don't have the lead yet. Gloria being the co-chair of this committee. She was also the leader of the Cambridge movement. So she led a movement. This is a movement. No, she was a follower. I don't remember anything about environmental protection, and I don't know about what she was doing for this business. That's absolutely going to be it. We're going to support this team's conclusion. What's the conclusion? Right here. Cattle was close to humans Yet, however, yet, sheep, S and G, sheep and goat were far. So we're allowed. Cattle was close to human, yet sheep and goat were far. Cattle were raised like humans. Okay. I feel like this makes sense. I'm going to see the answers to see if I can fight this fight without having any more. We're trying to support the team's conclusion. Analysis of animal bones showed that the cattle's diet also consisted of wheat. That cattle's were close, and human beings widely, yes. So we want. I like it so far. It supports like half of the conclusion. Cattle were raised. So far, I like it. Further investigations of sheep and goat bones were far. Sheep and goat bones were far. Revealed that the sheep and goat, the diet consisted of small portions of millet as well. I don't know where we're getting this millet from. I'm going to go to the text, read the previous sentence by analyzing the composition. That bulk of diets, well, they largely of millet, a crop raised by. So, if anything, B seems to be presenting that it was close. Further investigation of sheep bones revealed that the diet consisted of a small portion of millet as well. That means that they were close. We want to show that they're far away would be evidence. So I don't like that. I'm going to reread A because I want to take one of these off the table so I don't get overwhelmed. Analysis of the bones shows that cattle's diet consisted of wheat. Cool. So both of these, this only gives with like the half side of this equation, right? A deals with this half. I would like one that deals with them both, but I'm not that lucky, it seems, so far. A statement about cattle's I absolutely love. This shows that they were close. We've got close. This statement I don't like. I'm going to take B off the table. If I want to prove that they're far, but it doesn't, it shows that they're close. And in fact, it might even show that they're closer than cattle if they're getting that same kind of snack. So B is not. One way that I slice B, it does a weak job. Or one, it completely refutes it. And since it's allowing the refutation, I'm going to take him off the table. So even though A is only doing half, I like him. Cattle diets generally require larger amounts of food and nuge. No, that's not what we're talking about. The diets of all of them, okay, I like this so far. The diets of all of them were found to vary based on no. This wouldn't, we want to support thinking by finding something to support this. So A doesn't do a great job at doing both per se, but everything else is pretty trash. I'm going to choose something from the graph to complete the sentence. Let's read this title, just the title. Top 4 species of wildland mammals by global biomass. What's my sentence asking me to find? The team found that the species with the highest global biomass, okay, that's what we're dealing with. Whoa, that was not supposed to happen. How cool. I just hacked it. I bet they don't realize that happens. This one's the highest one. I'm gonna make all this disappear. I know it's a speed run, but this is insane. I'm gonna see if this happens on other ones. I've never felt this before. Go away. Go away. What if I could? This is terrible content, but that's okay. There are certain things in life that you do because you enjoy them, not because other people are meant to learn anything. We're just gonna leave the E-I-E-I-O. Get out of here. The one that it is this bar, which was the white-tailed deer, not these bars. So back to it. We want to most effectively use data from the table to complete the statement. What's my title? Housing starts in this month range within this year in the thousands. Maybe that matters. The highest number of housing starts in the United States was in the thousands. The housing starts, the highest number of housing starts, the highest number. Okay. April. April is the highest number of housing starts. Choice in the table to support the research claim. This one's much longer. We're going to support the research claim. What's my title? Approximate rates of speech and information conveyed. Approximate rates of speech and information conveyed for 5 languages. Okay. Thus, I'm going to see if I can extract something from this before I go looking around. 2 languages with very different spoken rates. 2 languages. Different spoken rates can convey the same amount of information. So I'm going to be pulling from either one of these columns, I think. All right, let's go start checking for liars and then feed things through the lens of our claim. Among the 5 languages in the table, there's 5. These 2, Thai Don't disappear. That wouldn't be funny this time. Thai and Hungarian have the lowest rate of speech. No. Vietnamese and Thai do. So, trash, trash. Too easy. Get out of my face. Vietnamese conveys information at approximately the same rate as Spanish. Sure. At approximately the same rate as Spanish, despite being spoken at a lower rate. True. And I feel like it engages with what I'm saying, but I'm going to keep reading. Among the 5 languages in the table, the language that is spoken the fastest, is also the language that conveys information the fastest. No, not true. Not true. Serbian and Spanish are spoken at approximately the same rate. Sure. Oh, wait. Approximately the same rate. Sure. But Serbian conveys information faster. No. The rate of speech, rate of information. No, that's a lie. Vietnamese conveys, let's just see if we like it. We could full send, but we've got a ton of time. Vietnamese conveys approximately the same way to Spanish, the same amount of information, despite Spanish being spoken at a different rate. Yeah, I love this one. We're going to support a student's claim. Where is my claim? Here it is. This person's work has, his photos have ethnographic value. I have no idea what that means. Thankfully, though, this big dash is a colon, and it's going to tell me exactly what I mean. So the juice is going to come after this, hopefully. He was able to capture diverse elements of society with dignity and authenticity. Okay. This, I don't know what this means. Or, I mean, I know what this means kind of cashed out from this sense, as defined by this. He took commissioned photos of wealthy Peruvians. Okay. Okay, they're in society. But he also produced hundreds of images carefully documenting the peoples, sites, and customs. I love this as diverse. This is absolutely it. Absolutely. Okay. His photographs demonstrate a high level of technical skill. That's not going to be it. Dignity and authenticity is not technical skill. Yeah, no, this is not it. During his lifetime, he was known and celebrated both within and outside his native Peru, as his work was published in places like, this would be that if this said like celebrated for his ethnic value and then gave reasons for it, it would be there. But we're just trying to prove this diversity, and this just shows that he was popular. That's not what we're looking for. Looking at D, some of the people and places he photographed had long been popular for subjects of Peruvian fauna. No, I would actually think this hurts his claim, because if what he did was what everybody else did, that would be lame. So if anything, so it doesn't map onto the diversity, but it also kind of hurts it. This is showing that he did something very sick, right? It's huge diversity, dignity, and authenticity. I love it. Logically completes the text. I think this is our last one. Gorgeous. Let's see if we can, well, this familiarity. What's the familiarity? Let's go back to the start of the sentence, do a little chunkerino, and see what we've got. See what we've got? Give me the opportunity to type, please. Thank you. Thank you. One possible explanation for disproportionate representation. So, what's the disproportionate representation? I'll go back one. Small population of vets are at a higher proportion in CiviGov. Okay. So the reason for that is because military is like certain organizational structures that are also reflected in the civilian government bureaucracy. Military is like civi government. So, all right, so because military, we can just chop all this off. It felt complicated, but I think this is just shaping out to like the same idea and over again. Because military is like civilian government, so because the familiarity makes it especially appealing. This like makes so much sense. Why is there so many? Because they're familiar with it, and since they're familiar with it, they like it. I like this, but I'm going to keep reading. Alters the typical relationship between military service and no. This is not stating a change of trend there. at all. I did read the whole text as it bounced me back because I wanted to solve this, so I just know that this has nothing to do with the text. I have no establishment of what the typical relationship is in the first place, or that this is atypical. Encourages non-veterans applying for civilian jobs to consider military service instead. No, if it encourages non-veterans applying for civilian government jobs to instead go to the military service. So I guess that they could. This is crazy. We have nothing about what people who are. This text is not for the non-veterans. Is the easiest way to cash this one out. And then finally, increases the number of civilian government jobs that require some amount of military experience. Therefore, no. All we're saying is that they're in this job because they like it. A is the right answer. D falls. And that's it. Easy every time.